Oh, look. It's a picture I took of you the first time I ever came here. Ah! Look at you, so young and happy. Where do the years go?
All right, Jaiden Animations. Who's got the more intense ADHD? Today we're here to find out whose ADHD is worst. Let me start by saying I was supposed to start filming 4 hours ago. So that's already 10 points for Gryffindor. Okay, you guys, we've been having a lot of fun on Jaiden's channel recently, and ADHD is a big part of my life, and so I knew I was gonna check this one out. You all wanted to hear my thoughts, so let's dive in. Okay, all right, 3, 2, 1, theme song. Jaiden Animations is the best. That's not the theme song, but could you imagine?
Do you ever think to yourself, man, why is it so hard for me to just do the things I need to do?
Every day of my life.
And focus, and remember things,
Every
and
day.
manage my time,
Every
and be
day.
organized, and remember things, and not get sidetracked.
Yes.
Ha! Yeah, me neither. When I was a kid, I was pretty much the picture-perfect depiction of a good student. I was
Really?
well-organized, always turned in my work on time,
Really?
and got good grades. I even did my homework on Fridays instead of procrastinating
Wow!
until Sunday night. Sure, I didn't like studying and found it hard to focus during it, but who didn't? Saying all those qualities put together, that doesn't sound like the brain of someone with any kind of attention
Yeah.
deficit hyperactivity disorder, does it?
Sounds like a perfectly non-attention deficit hyperactivity disorder brain. But then those darn cell phones came out and ruined it. Then Jaiden started playing RuneScape or whatever. I was a pretty decent student for the first few years as well, but getting work done was a nightmare. It was difficult, but I still pulled it off.
That doesn't sound like the brain of someone with any kind of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, does it?
No!
I was well behaved, didn't feel like I struggled much in school, and didn't cause any trouble.
Good.
That is, up until I moved out of my parents' house for the first time to go to college.
no.
Gradually, I started slipping. I
Oh,
began
no.
skipping classes a bit when I just didn't feel like going, would wait until the last moment to start classwork, and lost a lot of motivation because I wasn't interested in any of my schoolwork. But overall, even though it was pretty out of character for me, I chalked it all up to the fact I was simply over going to school. At the same time,
I mean, I
my
guess.
YouTube was really kicking off, and
Oh.
all I wanted to do was that.
Oh,
of course,
yeah.
I wasn't gonna be as good of a student when the silly YouTube videos were doing numbers.
Of
I
course.
finished a single
Oh, my YouTube channel did not do anything until I had just graduated, so I was perfect. I did not have any YouTube success to distract me from my university studies. But here's what I will say. I experienced the same thing where my grades went severely downhill when I no longer lived with my parents. I think Jaiden is probably like me, and she probably had strict parents who it would not go over very well if she didn't do her work, so she had to do her work. And then when the parents are not there, you just get nothing done because there's no one to get mad at you. That's at least what I experienced. I'm guessing that's what it was like for Jaiden.
I finished a single year of college and convinced my parents to let me take a gap year to see where this YouTube thing
Oh,
could
wow.
take me. Spoiler alert, the gap year turned into me never going back. I'm a college dropout. So great, I've eliminated the boring school part of my life that weighs me down.
Lucky.
Now I can go back to being organized with my new exciting passion job.
No.
Which entails being my own boss
Yup.
and having to manage and assign myself all of my
Yup.
own responsibilities 24/7.
Oh, so much
My
harder.
voice is not getting quieter. It's almost like everything was going backwards. I was having a much harder time staying organized
Yup.
and focused. If I didn't want to do a certain type of work, I would have to shackle myself down in basically an isolation chamber to be able to get it done. If I
Yep.
found a new interest, it was all I could think about. And why is it so easy to suddenly be on your roof watching a YouTube video on how to know when you need new shingles? I
What?
really didn't get it. Child me had it held together more than current me.
Yep.
What went wrong? I could look back and recognize how everything used to be so perfect and easy. Look at tiny Jaiden and all her
Aw,
ducks in that row.
That's
I
so
used
much
to
nicer.
call-
The ducks in the row. Yeah, I guess she's gonna get into it, but yeah, with the YouTube thing, I know YouTube sounds like an easy job. Well, if you're a YouTuber who doesn't edit your own videos, your job isn't that hard, let's be honest. But being my own boss and doing YouTube is actually way more difficult for me than doing any other job I've ever done. Like, I'm not joking.
I used to color code every single binder I owned, and now I don't even know where I placed the $20 I literally just had in my hand 3 minutes ago.
Oh.
I haven't even left left the room. Genuinely, where could it go? Despite feeling like I was downward spiraling for multiple years, I never suspected it could be something related to a genetic neurodevelopmental disorder.
No way.
I just thought I wasn't trying hard enough and being lazy, or
That's how I was for a while.
like I used to. Oh, the woes of turning into an adult, I suppose. Maybe the best years of your life truly are in high school. How upsetting. I didn't even enjoy those either. But then one day I got a text from my brother. I got diagnosed with ADHD. It was a pretty big surprise for me because growing up, he never really seemed to show any of the typical symptoms you associate with ADHD.
Really?
You know, people would always describe ADHD to me
Hyper.
as super hyper kids who would run around the room and scream and generally be a lot. That wasn't my brother. He was quiet and well behaved like I was.
Yeah, no, it's not just like that. That is obviously such a stereotype. For me, it was never I was bouncing off the walls because I was too shy. I was too shy and anxious. So I was super distracted, but I was spacey. Like just playing video games in my head. Like if I'm sitting still and waiting for something, I'm just playing video games in my brain for however long it takes. I wasn't hyper bouncing off the walls. I went inside, you know? I created my own walls.
But when he started explaining his symptoms, the gears started turning. Yeah, I've always struggled a lot with focusing in school and having things hold my attention when it's boring. But I could hyperfixate on things I'm interested in and get really passionate about that stuff. Hearing him talk about his personal symptoms of ADHD made a lot of sense, and I felt very freshly educated on the topic. And
Cool.
you'd think that I would immediately start looking into getting a diagnosis for myself, because if you were paying attention,
Takes
my
a long
brother's
time.
experiences all sounded very similar to the same struggles
Takes
I've
a while
been
to
having in
accept
my
it.
own life, but related to work instead of school, because I dropped out. But nope, I was just like, good for you, bro. Happy for you. Or I'm sorry, I don't know. Anyway, back to struggling to simply open up my drawing program as if 2 blocks of iron were welded to my wrists. Imbalance of brain chemicals?
No, couldn't
this
be
just
me.
happens from time to time. It's normal. Just the laziness kicking in. I hate Mondays, am I right? Even though I didn't
See,
instantly-
Jaiden is just like me. Growing up my entire life, I was always told oh, you don't have a problem. You just think different. And that's why you can't focus on things. And that's why you can't do social cues, you know? We'll get into this a bit more later probably, but I had to get myself diagnosed with ADHD and autism as an adult because my entire life I was just told that nope, that's just you're normal. And I had to figure it out myself. And so I always felt guilty when I couldn't focus on things. And that sounds like Jaiden. It's oh, you're just blaming yourself for a problem that isn't really, it's not your fault. It's not in your control.
It's the laziness kicking in. I hate Mondays, am I right? Even though I didn't instantly think there was a possibility of me also having ADHD, the mental seed was planted. It's genetic, so I knew subconsciously it ran in the bloodline. It took a few years after my brother was diagnosed for me to really sit down with myself and consider that I, too, could have ADHD. Shocking revelation, I know.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing, where did you come from? Things in the focus and productivity department were just getting worse and worse. I had the attention span of a cartoon dog, would completely forget things as soon as they entered my head,
Yo.
would hyperfixate on
Alright, Larla. Can you relate to I go into another room to do something, and if one thing takes me off from that initial task, I go back into the other room forgetting why I had initially gone into the other room?
Yeah, you do that. It's cute though. Sometimes it's funny. Because then you come stomping back in and you're like, wait, why did I go in there for something? And then I was like, did you grab your water? And he's like, that's the only reason I went in there.
Yeah, the only reason I went in there, and it's the one thing I didn't do.
would hyperfixate on random stuff like an addict, and there was constant civil war happening inside my head to get one thing done, even though
Valid.
I knew it would only take 15 minutes. You don't understand. It feels like
I understand.
physical torture to make myself sit down and lip sync a simple scene.
I understand.
Most of the time. You know, the thing I've been doing for 10 years at this point and am definitely used to doing. And yeah, once
I
I've gotten
understand.
going, then I'm honed in and you have to pry me away from it with a crowbar. I'm aware of that part. But nah, I'm still gonna scrap with myself to plant my ass in that chair because I don't even know why at this point. The biggest thing holding me back from feeling like I had ADHD has always been the simple memory of being in school and having my together. I know what it feels like to be on top of things and to be organized. I had it all in the palm of my little child hand. I just needed to summon it again with a bit more effort. But a light switched off in my brain and suddenly I'm just not capable of the things I used to be, and it feels pathetic. Simple tasks are such a mental burden. It feels like I'm out of control but can't do anything about it.
Aw, well, here's one thing I will say, Jaiden. You didn't have a smartphone when you were a kid, and the smartphone makes our ADHD so much worse. So yeah, brain rot didn't exist when we were kids, and so that's why our brains were not rotted then, but they're rotted now. So hopefully that clears that up.
All right, this video is a slapperino, but Robert has something important to say now. Also, my wife left me.
By the way, my friends, I do have something important to tell you. Because I'm looking at Jaiden Animations in this video is very likely to get copyright claimed, and me and Cameron are likely to not make any money off of this video. With that being said, we do still work really hard on all these videos. Every video of mine takes at least like 10 to 15 hours to 20 hours maybe of editing and extra work behind the scenes that you guys don't see. So if you could help me out just by liking the video, being subscribed to my channel, and then also just watching other videos of mine that probably aren't copyright claimed. If you could just do that for me, it would really mean a lot and help me keep doing this. It's my favorite thing in the world to do, and it helps me support myself and my family, and it means a lot to me. So if you do that, I appreciate you. Now let's get back to it.
So finally, I figured I would try and get myself diagnosed. What did I have to lose? If anything, they just tell me, no, you don't have ADHD. Try a little harder and stop complaining. And yes, of course it took me like 8 months after deciding to get diagnosed to schedule the actual appointment. What did you expect? That's like the first checkmark box on the ADHD list. I started seeing a psychologist and he would ask the typical, do you have a hard time focusing? And I'd go, yeah, like this one time yesterday, and then he writes something down as I continue rambling.
12 hours later.
As I continue rambling on this hyper-specific example way too long for a neurotypical person. I met with him for a few weeks, and then it came down to diagnosis day. The nerves, man. I was so ready for him to say I'm a normal person who needs to suck it up. But instead, he was like, okay, so you definitely exhibit symptoms of someone with the inattentive type of ADHD.
You got the thing.
And autism. Yay! My struggles are justified. I'm not crazy. Wait, what was that last part? He explained all the different ways ADHD affects me and the different areas I struggle with compared to others. He even gave me a 37-page document of his conclusions and information on how my brain works.
How am I supposed to read that?
That's
the whole problem.
I've read through it all a bunch of times now, and it's already really helped me understand how I tick. I call them the autism docs, but I'm not gonna get into that side of the diagnosis. Let's just
want that book.
Push that one away for now. There's a couple types of ADHD.
I want that. Where's that book? Can I have it? I feel like that would help. I don't have really.
And when RobertIDK says that, my wife left me.
I would really like to see that, Jaiden. You know, you should upload that doc. Not, you know, if it's about you, then no. But if it's a general thing, maybe you could genuinely help a lot of people by saying, like, where those docs can be read. Yeah.
Don't forget about me. Rapid bout expected clothes in the cash you buy jeans.
Brush that one away for now. There's a couple types of ADHD you can have: hyperactive, inattentive, and combined, which is both hyperactive and inattentive. Hyperactive is the type people typically go to when they think of a loud kid who can't sit still. People with this kind normally need to fidget, have low patience, tend to talk a lot, and have trouble staying seated, especially when they're expected to, like in a meeting or school. Inattentive is the one where someone experiences difficulty in focus, memory, organization, has a low attention span. That's the one I have. It's self-explanatory, but if you have the combined type of ADHD, then you got it all. ADHD jackpot right there, my friend. I brought up during the appointments that I used to be such a good kid in school with seemingly zero ADHD symptoms, and how that part has always confused me. And he had a couple hypotheses about it. One, since my mom has always been a big source of my organizational influence influence, I was able to depend and lean on her for
Called
the
it.
majority of my school life for it. I felt like I was naturally capable of staying on top of things because
Yeah.
she was right behind me the whole time,
Yeah.
reminding me and guiding me
Yeah.
through stuff. So when I moved out, everything started crumbling, which lines up pretty perfectly to when I did start struggling.
Yep.
Another explanation he gave was the fact that ADHD affects women differently than men, which is also less researched.
True,
Love to hear that
true.
one. Not only do women tend to be able to mask their symptoms better than guys, so it goes much more unnoticed, but they
true.
also experience ADHD differently. And research says there's a chance it can just start affecting women later in life.
What?
I'm no ADHD scientist though, that's just what I've been told by specialists. I don't know, I've just got the dang thing.
Okay, this is actually something that I only learned about recently because I am actually not the only person with ADHD in this household. Believe it or not, 2 people with ADHD are living in a house together. But Lola, you explained to me that ADHD in women is like, it manifests differently in females and males.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like a lot of ADHD symptoms for me are like present in like my emotions. Like my emotions are also affected by like my ADHD. It's kind of hard for me to explain it right now. I'd have to actually remember. I don't know how to give a short explanation to it, but I guess like for some women who have ADHD, they feel emotions a lot deeper and they tend to switch between emotions quickly. Does that make sense?
Well, I hope it did. All right, let's go.
I don't know, I've just got the dang thing. Either way, those 2 explanations make a lot of sense to me and have since put my weird ADHD imposter syndrome to rest. I didn't really
Good.
think that getting a diagnosis would change much about how I go about my life, but since getting my ADHD certificate and lollipop, it's completely revolutionized how I think and go about getting things done. It's
Yeah.
still hard to get my ass into gear when I need to do one normal thing that's not difficult, but I'm much less hard on myself and will strike almost like these kinds of mental deals to loophole myself into getting things done. Like, for example, if I really don't want to edit a video, I'll say to myself, okay, I know it's gonna be super hard for me to immediately start that task, so I'll get myself into the mindset of getting things done by doing a simple other task I don't find difficult.
Good
like
strategy.
cleaning my room. That way, I'll feel productive and can transition that into tackling the original task.
Good
much
strategy.
easier. It doesn't always work, but it's the mindset change and overall understanding that sometimes I'm gonna have to go about things in different ways that's helped me a lot. Also,
Yeah.
after being diagnosed with ADHD, I didn't have much desire to get medicated. I figured just knowing I have it would be enough to get things into gear, and I didn't really need medication that badly. But the content creator in me also thought, well, if I'm gonna write a script about having ADHD, it
Yeah, there would be more content if I got on medication. Really, Jaiden? Is that what you're about to say? Is that what you're about to say? Oh boy, here we go, here we go. Yeah, okay. I will say this now. I personally am a person who, I mean, before I was diagnosed with ADHD, obviously I was not medicated for it, but I have gone through phases where I have been medicated for my ADHD and times when I have not. My ADHD is severe. It is very severe. So I am a candidate for that type of thing. I do believe there are pros and cons to medication, and everyone's different, and you need to decide for yourself if you think that the pros outweigh the cons or vice versa. So I'm not saying just because I was on medication before for ADHD that I recommend it, or that now that I'm not on specific ADHD medication that I don't recommend it. I'm not saying that, okay? Don't model your ADHD off of me, okay? Everyone's different.
The content creator in me also thought, well, if I'm gonna write a script about having ADHD, it would be nice to be able to talk about what it's like to be medicated, even just for a day.
Wow.
So I got
Wow.
prescribed good old classic instant release Loratal. Instant release means I don't have to take it every day. I can just take it when I need to get stuff done. It affects me immediately
Extended release
and then
is the
wears
same
off
thing.
after a few hours.
Extended release doesn't stay in your system though. It just stays in your system for longer in the day.
For extended release, you gradually like kind of feel it over time, but instant release, it's like a boom, you're on it.
But you don't have to take either of them every day. Like, I think that's a bit of a misconception in the video. I just wanted to clarify.
And then wears off after a few hours. There's also extended release, which is the kind you take every day and gives you a constant, steady stream of medication. It wasn't until I had it in my hands when I realized the idea of taking it for the first time
Spooky.
made me nervous. Like,
Yeah.
what is this thing gonna do to me? I
Yeah.
have so many friends with ADHD. Honestly, a higher ratio than friends without it. That's how it goes in content creation. All these MFs have it. They were all
Oh,
telling
yeah.
me that it's awesome, how you'll take it and immediately feel like a god, and you can do anything, and it's incredible. And yeah, that sounds great, but also like, what the heck?
You wanna be yourself
What do you mean
still.
I take this little pill and suddenly all of my problems seemingly disappear and I gain superpowers? That's scary. That sounds like the thing every adult in a 20-mile radius warned us about when we were kids. Am I
Yep.
gonna feel like a completely different person? I don't know if I'm ready to
Let's go,
experience
Jaiden.
immortality. I put off taking it for so long because I was irrationally scared of the tiny blue pill.
Valid.
But coincidentally, I really needed to get a script done. If I take too long to write a video script, then the team runs out of work to do, and then I
Yeah.
have a bunch of people sitting around and waiting for me to give them more work so they can post.
Yes, this is my life too. If I was not recording right now, Cameron would not have anything to work on tomorrow. My life is like that too. And I do think that's also a good thing for content creators with ADHD. Having people that you work alongside is very helpful, because if people are depending on you, then you have to do the thing. You know, you can't just not do any work. But I will say, I'm excited to hear what Jaiden's experiences were like, because I definitely have a pretty unique take on it. How me taking ADHD medication in the past affected my YouTube videos. I will explain that shortly.
Waiting for me to give them more work so they can pay their bills and survive and stuff. But for the freaking life of me, I just could not get myself to sit down and write that script. My body and soul found it mentally easier to
time is
backflip
now.
off a bridge than write
The
words
time
on the
is
computer.
now.
After literally 2 months
know
of
that
my brain
feel.
going, ooh, you better write that script. I won't let you enjoy a single moment of your life if
Yeah.
you aren't writing
That's
that
what it's like.
script.
That's what it's like. But you still can't
I
do
don't
it.
wanna get up, go to
That's
the
what
bed.
it's like.
After that constant loop, I finally swallowed my fears and took
swallowed
my
the
first
thing.
Adderall. I had talked to James a lot about what it was like since he's been on it for a few years now. And after I took one, I was messaging him like, I did it. How long does it normally take to start? How do I know? What do I do? And he was helping me a lot and giving me tips.
Aw,
Then,
that's really
like,
nice.
20 minutes later, I felt it.
The voices stopped.
All the non-stop
Did you
thoughts
see
going
that?
on in my brain went silent. I could think clearly and in like a line. My mind wasn't racing a mile a minute. I was able to sit behind my laptop and write. It was incredible. I was messaging all my friends about it the entire time. I can write my script and not get distracted. I don't have to take a mental break every 10 minutes. I can remember things. Kelsey sent me a message and I thought, I'll check that in a bit. And I remembered to check it in a bit.
Wow.
And respond. When I opened a new tab to look something up, I didn't go down a random unrelated rabbit hole. I picked up my phone to check something and didn't impulsively scroll Twitter for an hour. I can
Wow.
write words so easily. How am I doing this? What do you mean I can feel like this whenever I want if I just eat the tiny blue pill? I refuse to believe regular people can function like this on a day-to-day basis. No way. It wouldn't be fair. You guys don't have loud, non-stop voices in your head
Yeah.
preventing you from doing normal things? Come on, just
Crazy.
admit it. You can't pick something up and immediately keep remembering what you were supposed to be doing with it.
No
You
way. That's
always
impossible.
forget and feel crazy. Come on. Come on. I was so suspicious that either nothing would happen and I just wouldn't feel anything, or I would feel like I'm a totally different person experiencing some higher than life manic episode. But no, I just felt like myself, but with my together. And that's the part
Wow.
I couldn't believe. After 2 months of war, I finally was able to plant myself down and write my script. You wanna know what
Okay.
script I wrote while experiencing Adderall for the first time?
This one.
This one. I was struggling to write a script about ADHD, and the thing that finally
How
came out of me
ironic.
was come on, you gotta admit that's funny. Yeah,
How
it was-
ironic. Okay, I don't know where Jaiden is going with this now. I don't know if she's gonna talk about this, and I don't want the whole video to pass by and then she doesn't talk about it and then I haven't talked about it, so I'm gonna talk about it now. For me personally, I think for someone like Jaiden, the ADHD medication would probably help her do her job better overall. She has a very calm demeanor, the way that she talks in videos, and she doesn't need to be be like bouncing off the walls mentally to do what she does. You know, it doesn't really benefit her to have like a lack of focus. But for me personally, one thing that I found, because in the first few years of me being a YouTuber, I was taking ADHD medication at the time. It did help me focus on editing, but when it came to performing in videos like this, I was like a zombie that couldn't talk. I think part of it was also because I would film late in the day and I would take my ADHD medication at the beginning of the day. So I think that's a big part of it. But yeah, when I would take that medication early in the day and then I'm filming at night, it's like I can't think of the things to say. Like me stringing together sentences and ideas and thoughts didn't come as naturally. And I would be like kind of like paralyzed and I'd be like, man, this sucks. I'm not funny right now. I'm not myself right now. I don't feel like the bright, vibrant version of myself that I like to be on camera and when I'm around friends and all of that. So that was the trade-off. Yes, it helped me focus, but there are times when I want to be as like vibrant and my thoughts going all over the place. And that's what you guys love about me a lot of the time. That's where, for me personally, there are pros and cons to it. And currently, I'm not on any ADHD medication specifically. So that's where I'm at. And I just wanted to give that point of view, okay? Because I don't ever want there to be a piece of content that like glorifies either being medicated or not medicated and like acting like one is a better situation than the other. I don't know if she's going to give like any like cons here, but I just wanted to say that to make it clear.
Come on, you gotta admit that's funny. Yeah, it was great. I didn't think my head was loud before, or I was that impulsive, or had that hard of a time focusing.
But realizing what a normal person's brain is like is insane.
Sit in one spot for hours and not need to take a break or check social media or get distracted by some stupid tangent I don't actually care about. Yeah, this changes things. I still can't believe what I was able to accomplish. Writing a script in 3 hours.
Pretty cool.
Compared to my typical 12 hours, aka one mediocre thing with no struggle at all. And you want to know what I did right after I wrote this script? I immediately got up and cleaned the bird's room without rotting in bed for 3 hours beforehand. I just went from one task to another without thinking about it. All you neurotypical people must be thinking I'm literally pathetic and useless. But I know my ADHD brethren are out of their chairs right now here. I'm not standing before you all to give you scientific data and information on ADHD or diagnose you or even promote prescribed. I'm just here to talk about a big and recent experience in my life, how much of an impact and effect it's had on me, and how awesome feeling normal is. Seriously, being able to take a deep breath in mental silence is incredible. Cherish that feeling if you don't have a neurodevelopmental disorder. It took me 26 years to realize my woes were not actually woes, but symptoms of brain chemical deficiency. I'm writing this video, all things considered, pretty recently after being diagnosed, and I'm still trying to learn how to rebuild my life in a way that lets me optimize my productivity and get things done at a normal level. But so far, I've come so much further than I thought I could simply by knowing what's going on up there in the old noodle.
That's good.
If you're on the fence about being diagnosed with something, I get it. It's scary. It's scary to think you might have it, and it's also scary to think you might not have it. It's an odd place to be. But for me, having a concrete answer from a professional is what got me to finally stop feeling stuck in place and actually start moving forward again. It's been great. I'm excited to keep learning more things about how my mind works and find new ways to improve my day-to-day life. Cheers to getting normal done.
Oh yeah. I will say, in my opinion, for the most part, there's no harm in getting diagnosed with something if you think that you might have a neurological developmental disorder. It is something that you should look into because your life may be a little bit harder than it needs to be, you know? And also, you might be like me or like Jaiden, who we would beat each other up. We would beat ourselves up for not being able to focus on things, you know? Especially with autism as well, right? I didn't find out about my ADHD and autism until I was an adult. I mean, ADHD was easier for me to process, you know, because it's like, yeah, that makes sense. I can't focus on anything. Autism was a different story, and maybe I leave that for another video where I get more into that. But yeah, it can be a little scary to get diagnosed with something, because then it's like, you're no longer able to like deny that like you have a like problem, for lack of a better term. And it forces you to like accept certain things about yourself. But in the same way, it can be so much more freeing, because it's like, if I sit in front of my computer on a blank screen and I can't get any words typed or any editing done for 4 hours, I'm not a terrible person. Like, I have challenges that most other people don't have. And so for me, I'd rather know that and be able to accept it and also be able to work on it. So I believe diagnosis is cool. I don't think medication's for everyone. Another thing I will mention now that I think about it, when I was on medication, I found it harder to maintain a healthy weight. It was harder for me to keep on weight because it was harder for me to eat as much. That is a downside that you do need to consider with stuff like that. There's all sorts of things. There's always pros and cons to anything like this. There's no like perfect situation. You always have to be smart about this and learn all of the scientific data to keep yourself safe and to keep yourself healthy. Now, as for whose ADHD is worse, I'd say me and Jaiden are we're kind of like this. I'm gonna keep it real. We're kind of like this. I related to so much of this. I will say our timelines for all this were a bit different, but I completely like relate to pretty much everything she said in this video. And I love that content creators are talking about ADHD in a serious way like this, because yes, it's fun to be hyper on camera and just have fun with it. There is a time and a place to talk a bit more real about it. So I hope you enjoyed that. And with that being said, we have been serious for long enough. Oh yeah, get your Mingus shirt on robertidk.net. I forgot I was wearing this underneath. I was just trying to cool off. Anyways, we got serious there for a second, but now it's time to get silly again. Here are all the times I looked at Jaiden Animations. Check out the rest of the playlist if you want to see more fun videos like this. This is Jaiden's channel. Make sure you're supporting it. This is another video of mine that YouTube thinks you will like in particular. It's like generated for you specifically. So I'll see you in one of these videos, or I'll see you down there. I appreciate you. Have a good day.